my good friend and partner and colleague, Ron McIntyre of Transformative Leadership. Ron, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, thanks, Rob. Yeah, I basically am the president of Transformative Leadership Group, and we focus on the whole idea of communicating better leadership qualities to the general populace within business. We look at small business and large businesses, so this is right down our alley to talk about communications.
Exactly. To that point, the goal of today's brief video is to talk about influence, talk about communication, and how they kind of intermingle with leadership. It's something that Ron and I are passionate about. We've been talking a lot about on social, with our partners, with our clients. So why don't I start the conversation and ask you a question, Ron?
Okay.
You're an expert at leadership and influence. And what does communication or effective communication mean to you with regards to influence?
Well, in my mind, communications is just the verbalization of words. It generally talks about the idea of how we communicate to people face to face, on the phone. And generally, it can be very surface level. I like to look at communications at the next level down, which I call connecting. And this is very much the way John Maxwell feels about the topic, because he feels that we can't have good relationships with business people, whether it's employees, shareholders, stockholders, managers. We can't have good relationships if we can't connect with them. So we need to find things like common ground and respect for each other and all those other things that are critical to connection.
Excellent. It's one of the things that I'm very passionate about is expressively communicating a vision, getting people to I work with, collaborate with, to go on a journey with me to obtain that vision, to obtain that goal. And it doesn't mean you have to have a lot of passion to be an influential leader, but I find in my communication style, when I believe in something, I get excited. And usually if I don't overwhelm people, they get excited along with me that, hey, there's something here that I should know about or should come along. And they may need to still analyze more if this is something you really want to be in the long run. But at least I can initially make a connection that, I pique their interest.
Correct.
In going on the journey. I don't see a lot of that in business. I see more of that passive, reserved, closed. I don't want to share my emotion or communicate that to the team, afraid of vulnerability. Could you talk a little bit about that with regards to communication?
Well, that's a very true observation in today's world. We are, to a degree, we have sterilized the role of leader. We have said, okay, it's a formulaic process whereby we have steps that you follow, and if you follow those steps, you'll stay out of trouble. You'll be respected by everybody. So therefore, follow this path and everything will be great. The problem is that it loses sight of the humanity of the leader. It loses sight of the humanity of the employee or the partner. And that's really where the passion and vision come to play, because it's without vision, companies wander. They have a tendency to stall. And I've seen that over and over again in today's world. In fact, the bigger the company, usually I find the vision is either fragmented or, for the most part, it's stalled. And it's because of the lack of connection within all the layers.
Interesting. So that gets to the future. I'd like to talk a little bit about my vision, and I know that you believe in a lot of what I talk about with regards to measuring this influence, this reputation with tangible measures of open standards of relationship capital.
Right.
Do you ever envision a world as organizational structure flattens, silos get merged, we get into this more peer-to-peer holacracy-based organizations of high-performing individuals, including the senior leadership, the founders, the CEO, the CFO, where they're being graded by their teams as much as they grade their direct reports and their teams. Because I don't see a lot of that today. Is that something that you can envision? And influence plays a role in the ability to influence. If I'm a board of directors, I want to know that the leadership team is, optimizing the value of the business by influencing their culture and their team.
Right. Do I see it in the future? Yes, absolutely. Do I see it coming rapidly? No. That's the unfortunate part of it. We've seen companies like Zappos, who has just recently announced as of November 2013 that they were changing their governance model to holacracy, which is a move towards a flat organization. You see a lot of talk about it, but there are very few large firms that are tackling it. They prefer to stay in the hierarchical structure, which now opens the door to a thing called wireocracy, which is kind of a meld of the flatter external communications and the internal hierarchical structure. That's probably going to be the next phase that we'll go through. I mean, there's a lot of talk about meritocracy, which is everything is based on merit. So therefore promotions and discussions and leadership are all based on merit that's demonstrated. That has never really developed either. So yeah, I do see it happening. It's just a question of how fast. Will it happen in the next 5 years? No. Will it happen in the next 10? Very possibly.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, guys. I want to thank Ron for spending some time with us to have this brief conversation about communication skills as it intersects with leadership. I don't think one without the other is all that effective, and it'll be interesting to see where the future goes from here. But stay tuned until the next time we get together, guys. Bye-bye.